What's going on, buddy? Silver here, and today I'm bringing you a Season 25 Demon Hunter Marauder build guide on the PTR. This video is made just to show you how incredible strong and powerful this new Marauder build is, and it's really fun as well, so let's get into it, shall we? Now on the screen you'll see me doing 115 GR. I have absolutely terrible gear. I made this character in about 30 minutes. I have like 9k main stat. I have no ancients except my weapon. You can easily make this kind of character on day one of the season, I'm sure of it. So just look at how incredibly strong this is. We're just killing everything really quickly. You can do these kind of speeds in about 2.5 minutes. This build is not really made for going super quick like the God 6 will do, but it will definitely go a lot higher, like at least 5 to 10 tiers. Now playstyle while is pretty cool. You jump in, you want to get your sentries down as soon as possible just to make sure you get the multiplier going. You want to pop all your cooldowns. I explain why a little bit. So it takes a few seconds just to get started, but once you're starting, it's really good fun and really powerful. We are also playing with focus restraint, so you want to make sure you're using your builder, which is Evasify here every 6 seconds. This will also proc your reps clarity for more toughness. So how does this work? Basically this works because of the reworked 4-piece and 6-piece of the Marauder. So I will show you this on screen now. So the 4-piece has been reworked, so now that your sentries also cast Multishot when you do, as well as just cast it automatically. And your 6-piece makes it so your primary skills and also quite a few spenders like Multishot and sentries now deal 12,000 increased damage per every active sentries, and we can have a total of 5. So as you can see, that's a massive multiplier. So that's how the build works. So it's about Multishot and sentry multipliers and damage. Now we are also using the new gems that is the seasonal theme of season 25. I'll be showing this one on screen now. This is the Essence of Anguish weapon gem. And if you look at the last 2 points, you can see when you deal poison damage to an enemy, they receive 50% increased damage, poison damage from all other sources for 10 seconds. Since we have poison damage on our weapon, this works as a massive damage increase. More details on that later. You can see the other point as well. Every time you deal poison damage to an enemy, you increase your cooldown reduction, movement speed, and damage received by 5 seconds. This stacks up to 10 times. This is also why this works so well, because you get so much cooldown reduction that you're able to cast your sentries all the time. That was normally a pretty big issue with the build, that your sentries would be on a massive cooldown, so every time you would walk or you would go into another map, you would have a massive downtime or just being able to do no damage. Now we're also using a new gem on our helmet, that is the Sliver of Terror. Now on this one we gain increase attack speed and critical strike chance by 7% for each skill on cooldown. Deal 75% increased damage. That's a massive multiplier, and that's also why this build is now so strong. Build packs in a few seconds and also just completely destroy the Rift Guardian. And like I said before, this is on a completely new character with awful gear, no augments, no ancient pieces except a weapon, under 9k main stat. You can make this character on day one. Okay, so let's go over how this build works, shall we? So since we are playing the multi-shot variation of this, we are using Yangshu Curve. You can also play the cluster arrow if you want to. Of course, on the weapon we want high multi-shot multiplier, so that's 191 on this guy, and you get a max of 200. Now as you can see, I have actually re-rolled the primary, so the damage, to poison damage. Now this is because it works into the new gem, right? So when you deal poison damage to an enemy, this actually works, so you get the multiplier by doing that. As you can see, the new gem also gives a ton of other stuff. We have just flat damage, we have attack speed, we have 135% crit damage and damage against elites. So this is a massive multiplier. If you want to see more details about how these gems work and how you get them, I will link a video somewhere around here now, and you can have a look at that video after. But they are extremely powerful and a lot of fun. Now of course we're using a standard variation of focus and restraint, so you want dexterity crit, or maybe damage roll crit. For legendary gems we're using Enforcer, because this actually works in with sentries because they are counted as pets, so you get a massive damage increase from this as well. We're also using Sage Stone of Vengeance, this because it's a massive multiplier for being ranged, and with this build we want to stay at the range for most of the time because it works better with the build, and because it can be a little bit squishy at times, so staying at range is better. We're also using Bender Trap just for the massive multiplier. And as you can also see now, all of my legendary gems are level 25. So this is extremely powerful for just how basic this character is, right? For the gloves, you want something like this, so crit area damage. You could also want maybe some cooldown reduction or some resource cost reduction, but a basic pair of gloves like this works really well. For the shoulders, we have main stat, area damage, resource cost reduction, and sinew damage. You can also get a quad factor here if you also want some cooldown reduction instead of the dex, but this works really well and it's very easy to get as well. For the helmet, you would want some main stat, some crit chance, and multi-shot damage. In a chest piece, you would want dexterity, and then vitality or resistance, and then you want sentry damage. We're also playing with Captain Crimson's, so we gain a good amount of cooldown reduction and resource cost reduction, and also a good amount of damage and damage reduction from this. And on the belt, you would want Dex, Vid, Always, and percent life. On your pants, Dex, Vid, and Always. And on your boots, doesn't matter too much, just get main stat and multi-shot damage. We are playing with Squirts. You do also have other options if you want to play, for instance, with Flavor or with a Hellfire. Since we're using Flavor on our follower, and we actually do have decent amount of squirts uptime just by staying at the range, it actually works pretty well. For the braces, we have Wraps of Clarity. This is pretty good. It's one of our only defensive multipliers, so this is pretty useful as well. For the offhand, we're of course using the Bombardier's Rucksack, and then we have the Deadman's Legacy in the cube. But on the Bombardier's Rucksack, we want attack speed, crit chance, area damage, and sentry damage. And then I also have resource cost reduction, but you can have whatever. Now in the cube, we have Deadman's Legacy. This works really well with multi-shot, of course. So this is mandatory. Multi-shot hit enemies below 60% health twice, and the damage increased by 200%. I would definitely recommend having this in your cube and then equipping the Bombardier's Rucksack just so you get the 200% multiplier. It can be quite hard hitting the 200 or close to it, so this is a lot easier to get. On our armor slot, we have Zoe Secrets, so you take 9% less damage for every companion you have active. And since we are using our companions, we have a good amount of this. For the jewelry slot, we are using Ring of Royal Grandeur. This works really well because we're then able to use a 5-piece Marauder and the 2-piece Captain Crimson's and get the full effect of both. For skills, we are using Vengeance Star Card for the damage reduction. We're using Multi-Shot Arsenal. You can also very easily play with full broadside physical if you want to do that. I prefer Arsenal, but you can play both of them. We're also playing with Companion, Wolf Companion, just to gain the damage increase. And of course, to get all the pets out so you take less damage. Now, the sentries, we are playing with Polar Station. So basically, when you place down the turret, they will slow nearby enemies. And this will make sure that it procs your Bento Trap, and of course also just slow everything so it's easier to kite. For mobility, we are using Vault with Tumble just to get around easier. This is pretty good, especially for doing these pretty low tiers. Where it's just about getting speed. By having Vault, we're able to get our rifts done in about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Now we're also using Evasive Fire Focus. This is just to build a little bit of hatred, but mostly just to proc our Focus Restraint and our Reps of Clarity. Now for the passives, we're using Call the Weak, just flat out more damage, Ambush, and Custom Engineering. This is mandatory just because of how the sentries work. And I'm using Ballistics here, just because I have Arsenal. You could also easily swap this to something like Steady Aim. Now for the follower, you can kind of do whatever. I haven't even geared mine. I just have the Flavor of Time and Nemesis braces. The rest is kind of whatever for me, but of course you want to gear it later. And also an Oculus Ring is of course useful. And also make sure you have the relics so your follower can't die, just to make sure you don't actually click a pylon without Flavor or Nemesis braces active, because he's dead. Now I'm predicting that this build will be nerfed slightly. Not really the Marauder build itself, but these gems might be nerfed a little bit. I am already using the gems that are non-buggy, so these actually work as intended, but they're still maybe a little bit too powerful. Especially this Live of Terror, I could see this maybe being reduced down to a 50% increased damage, but all along the builds will still work the same as when you watch the video. The only things that might have changed a little bit would be the numbers. I'll make a full guide on this build later when we have more details and when we are further into the PTR. I'll also be making full guides on all the other Demon Hunter builds, so Impale, Guard, both for speeds and for push and everything like that. And of course also other classes and just general information. So if you found this video useful, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, folks.